If someone gave you a box containing everything you have lost in your life, what would be the first thing you'd search for? Approximately 28 bitcoins I'd mined way back in the early days, forgot about, and lost when I reinstalled Windows. Wanna hear a story that'll break your soul? I had around 500 bitcoins in an online wallet lost a very long time ago. Was going to use them to buy drugs, but chickened out and forgot about it. Years later, after they ballooned in value, I only saved all of that wallet's account access on a notepad file. 3 laptops ago. 5000000 is just sitting in an old laptop, in some junkyard at that. Give me the location and estimate the date that you threw it out. I'm going dump diving, boys. When I graduated high school I bought myself an I'm not gonna off myself now ring. I wore that thing every day for about 8 years, and then I lost it during my last move. I'm in no danger now, but that ring had some serious sentimental value. It was a cheapo tungsten wood ring too, so anyone who does find it probably wouldn't put much effort in finding the owner. Being able to find it in a magical show box would be nice. Maybe it moved on to somebody else who needed it at the time. This is a lovely thought. My N64. It was in my parents' garage one day, then it's gone. I've bought others, but I really want mine. Yeah, no, probably with my pogs. Same story. A small, mother of pearl handled pocket knife given to me by my great grandfather when I was 7 years old. I lost it about a month later. It was given to him by his great grandfather at about the same age. He was born in 1897, so he got it in 1904. My parents should have never let me have something that precious. Bummer. That's really sad. I still have the memory. The Nerf Howler football I held out the window on the highway so it would whistle. Dad said I was gonna lose it if I wasn't careful. As soon as I said no a-hole here it whistled into the shoulder and off into the trees. My answer is a football too. One got lost in the top of a tall tree. Can't say what kind. In my next door neighbor's yard. Maybe 3 months later the owners of that house cut the tree down. No football. I'm just amazed that I knew it was there. We all saw it, but it just vanished. My sister bought my brother and I a Nerf gun when we were kids, but it wasn't your typical Nerf gun with the soft foam bullets. It came with a small hard plastic rounds and they would shoot fast and far. My brother shot me point blank in the face with one. Best childhood memories always involved anything Nerf. My grandfather's seal. It was passed down from his father and was made of gold. I don't know how far back it went. My mom gave it to me when I was a teen and I stupidly used it as a key holder and left it in a bus in London. I feel like there should be a rule not to give important heirlooms to teens. I lost my grandmother's ring and beat myself up for it for years when I was a teenager at the community pool. Now I'm in my 30s and realize it was never a good idea to put a kid in charge of something special that can be taken with them anywhere. My grandfather gave me his ring about 2 months before he died expected. It fits like a glove and I wear it because otherwise I'll lose it. A few months later, I took it off to shower at a truck stop thousands of miles away from home and left it on the sink. I noticed an hour later. Thankfully I was still parked there. I went inside and asked if they had found my ring. They had. I really hope this won't happen again. The code for that 62 of Bitcoin I bought in 2010. A silver ring with 7 circles on it, one for each sea we were to sail. Made for me in Argentina by a girl I loved with all my heart. Even after she broke my heart into a million pieces. She died in childbirth a few years later, and it was the only piece of her I had left. If the gods are smiling, it was attached to the velcro strap of an animal watch which I'd hung on a peg in a shower wagon at a campsite outside Riot in Fairford on 17th July 2005. I returned as soon as I realized, mere minutes after I left the shower, that it was already gone. Before he died, my dad gave me an Afghan war rug. It was a beautifully woven map of Afghanistan and depicted Soviet tanks leaving the country. It showed an RPG, some grenades, an AK-47, and a few other weapons. It said thanks USA in English and had some Farsi words I never translated. There was some beautiful geometry and color blocking on the border. 2. Dad wasn't a soldier, but he spent some time in Afghanistan, employed by the US government. After he died, Mom moved out of their place and the rug got lost in the move. That rug was the only possession I ever lost that I was truly upset about. It was a piece of history and an interesting work of art. And when I found out it was lost, I felt like I lost another piece of dad. 2. I try not to think about it because it makes me upset. My family had a rug in their living room, and one day, when I paid attention to it, I called them over and showed them the designs on the rug, and there were AK-47s and grenades and shit. Are we talking about the same rug? At one point I lost a holographic first edition Charizard card. Considering that those cards are now potentially worth thousands of dollars, I think that would be the first thing I look for, if it helps at all. Pokemon TCG released a kind of classics collection a couple years ago that were reprints of the original base set, meaning original 90s holo Charizard's price took a bit of a nosedive. I'd have to recheck prices, but they are not worth thousands anymore. Not like they used to. Went from able to buy a new car to maybe a nice dinner for 2 LOL. Pretty sure the original first edition ones are still worth a decent amount though. In a collector's eyes, a reprint is nowhere near the value of the original. A poetry book I kept as a teenager. So many sweet poems I wrote with a little dedication at the bottom to whoever I had a crush on who inspired my poem. I lost it in a move many years ago, and I'm still a little sad to this day. My dog Rex. Rex isn't in the box. He's in your heart. In 2nd grade I was grounded because I lost 4 lunch boxes over a span of a couple weeks. Finding those would be great. My green Matchbox car. After that, my wallet. So funny story on the wallet. I lost my wallet in college once while drunk. Couldn't find it, so after a couple days I cancelled my cards and replaced everything. A couple weeks later a guy from down the hall gave my wallet to me. He said he found it in his mini fridge. Apparently in my drunken haze I tried to prevent myself from making poor purchases. So I gave my wallet to the guy's foreign roommate and told him to freeze my assets. He had no idea what that meant, so he stuck my wallet in the fridge. I lost my wallet a few years back and swore that I had dropped it outside my apartment. One of my workers was eventually returned to me from the wallet at my place of employment. 100% sure that it was in the wallet I lost. A year later I find the wallet in my apartment. I live alone. Really stupid answer, but my glow-in-the-dark nail polish that I got just before Halloween when I was 7. He was yellow and had a jack-o'-lantern face. Halloween was and still is my favorite holiday, and yellow will forever remain as one of my favorite colors. My mom bought him for me, and because of childhood trauma, I made an attachment to every single object I liked. This will be important later. I carried him around with me for a few weeks. When I went to sleep one night with him on the nightstand, I woke up and he was gone. I looked everywhere for him, and I cried and cried when I realized I would never see him again. I still look for him from time to time, since I figured that he couldn't have just vanished without a trace. The prime suspect is my older sister. She was always envious of my blissful happiness and had a tendency to like things that I had. She also stole things from people. This is because her parents were divorced and her idea of theft was just getting back what was rightfully mine. The other suspect is my dad. He sometimes took our stuff and threw it away if he deemed it to be too childish or girly, and expected us to just be big girls and deal with it. I still miss Mr. Jack. I hope he comes back someday. Update: holy crap, I found a picture of it online. I can't find any for sale though. My dad. I miss him every day. My best friend from 2nd grade. They aren't dead, I just haven't seen them in years and would like to catch up. The necklace my dad gave me that he made out of his class ring. I have hand function issues, so I know I didn't take it off myself, but I don't know where it went, and I love that so much. I was always playing with his class ring as a child, and my dad gave it to me as a necklace when I was 15 or so. My sanity, or my innocence. My childhood dog's collar. I held on to it after she passed away and it eventually got lost in a move. I have the collar of the dog I got in high school. He passed away in May. They were good friends. My childhood dog was old when we got my high school dog, but they loved each other. I wish I could put their collars together on a shelf. I hope all the popcorn I've dropped over the years and went into the movie theater seats doesn't count, because most likely it would just be a box of popcorn. If that were the case, I once dumped an entire bag of M's in the movie theater, devastating. Everyone listened to them roll down between the seats for a good 30 seconds. Those would be pretty gross to have returned. My hair. All of my pets. I really miss them. Stuffed animal Totoro. My Nintendo DS. I got it for my 4th birthday, had it for a month, never let it out of my sight. Then school started. I put it down on my desk and left for school. When I came back it was gone. I'm convinced my parents threw it out because I used it too much. They had a history of destroying anything I got into that wasn't sport related. Pokemon cards, UGR cards, Magic cards, all in the washer accidentally, all separate occasions. DS I got left in North Carolina when I knew I packed it. My favorite video game themed shirts got lost in the laundry, and a bunch of other stuff. But I want that DS back, it has my first Pokemon game in it still. First of all, it would be a giant ass box, because I lose shit all the time. Assuming all tangible items, I'd want the 100 bill I dropped after cashing my paycheck in high school. I was so mad at myself. Oh, also my mother's garnet ring that I left in a New York bathroom along RT-81 on our way to Canada. My dad refused to turn back. Are we seriously not going to question the heck they were doing with all my lost stuff? Are you the one that's been taking my things my whole life? A taser. Yep, weird right? I kept it by the front door for several months. I think my niece stole it, but can't prove it. Replaced it with a can of pepper spray. I'm ready to join the revolution, I guess. A really smooth rock my son gave me when he was very little. Told me it was for good luck. I carried it in my pocket for years and somehow lost it about 8 years ago. My son is 20 now, and I still think of that rock, wishing I still had it. My stuffed animal Looney Tunes Sylvester the cat. I loved that thing for years, and I lost it on the bus when I was like 6. But I eventually replaced him with a real tuxedo cat on my 22nd birthday when I finally moved somewhere I was allowed to have a cat. The 5 Mile the time father gave to me after he told me I'd always be his little princess. I got a DNA test done that day and turns out he's not my father. Still don't know who my father is. I was 7. This grey cap that says Chicago, which I wore at Busch Gardens. I rode the waterlog one time and lost my cap to it, but was able to recover it from the water with some help. I rode it some other time years later wearing the same cap and lost it again at the same drop. Still recovered it. Years later I rode the same ride wearing the same cap, forgetting the other 2 times I rode it with that cap on my head and lost it a 3rd time. I decided to just leave it. It was the right cap now. Now it's 5 years later and I want it back because I quite like that color. My self-esteem. But I can't decide if it was lost or taken away from me. I have lost everything material in a fire, and what hurts the most is family pictures, my first baby picture, grandma holding me as a newborn, etc., and jewelry. I would look for those first. My common sense, because honestly sometimes I can't understand the shit I say or think. Edit well, I'll be the ambassador of gingivitis. Thanks for the hugs award. I used to have this cassette tape, or maybe a set of a few of them, that had a bunch of myths and legends from around the world, being narrated by a bunch of different people. I listened to that thing every single night and I adored it. The story I remember the most was about how cheetahs, or maybe leopards, got their spots because the women in the village hit them with the ends of their sticks they used to mix dye to chase the cats out of their village. My parents divorced when I was 7ish, and then each one of them moved about once a year, so the tapes and a lot of other stuff just vanished. I don't lose things often, so when I do it really bothers me. I lost an activity tracker. I think it fell off during a hike, but it could be in a rental car or a restaurant. It drives me crazy not knowing. It has been gone a few years at this point. My wallet that I lost while drunkenly staggering on the beach in 2000. It would be like my own personal time capsule. Most of the first 25 years of my life, thanks to depression, I can only remember tiny flashes of it and virtually nothing from primary school. I'm curious as to what actually went on. The letters my granddad wrote me before I was born. He knew he was dying and probably wouldn't be around for long. After I was born, my ex-husband threw them out when we split. My uncle passed away years ago. We didn't have much in common, but we were both really into photography. When he died I got his camera. It meant a lot to me. I haven't seen that camera in 7 years. I'm pretty sure an ex-roommate stole it for drug money. I'm still mad at myself for not keeping it safe. Avalon Code. It was a DS game I lost when I was like 10 or 11 and never found again. I have never lost a game in my life other than that one. I have every DS game I've ever owned. That thing disappeared into thin air and it was hard for me to find another one complete in the box. Still drives me insane to think about.